Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Halcyon Herald. Today, I have a special guest, the number one lightning bug in the HoloLens, Gxggabyte. No,
I'm
no, no.
Gxggabyte. I play controller. I learned mouse and keyboard recently. I mostly play Conduit on controller, and I play Stone on mouse and keyboard. My Twitch is twitch.tv/Gxggabyte. That's really all I use.
All right, awesome. Today, we will be dissecting the Conduit class and who better. So, first, we're going to start off. Give us, like, in your words, like, what would you feel would be an overview of the class in general?
I think it's like high DPS, high reward if you could hit your shots. But other than that, it doesn't have great mobility, but it does give you rune charges, so you don't necessarily need to run runic influency. So it's like really good for a lot of damage, and I think it's good with like mainly anything offhand because of the power surge. Like if you use stone, you can slam like 4 times. And if you use like frost, you can hit like 2 or 3 free snipes using power surge. Pretty good.
Oh, okay, okay. All right, now let's get into one thing that I really enjoy. What do you feel like are the top builds, like talents for Conduit in general?
Top talents. I would say like runic influency, fervor, and then like thirsty or recovery. Most people run recovery. And then there's my favorites like focus mana, fervor, thirsty, which I run like often when I use wind offhand. And then there's some people that like running tracking or what's the other one called? Harmony. Like you can use tracking or harmony, and then they probably use like scavenging for the harmony, and then like uh, thirsty maybe or recovery. But
All right,
tracking
so
is really
basically,
good.
yeah, okay. So basically, in general, you'd want to do like high movement, or you want to build kind of like kind of thing, so you can deal, so you can focus on dealing like the damage itself.
Yeah, you either want to go like full damage if you can like hit every shot and you know how to play around that type of build. Because if you use frost and conduit and you play focus mana, you can hit like 2 free snipes with focus mana max, which would be really really good. But if you're more of like a pyro or like a wind player, you can do that also. You can probably shoot from like a decent range and then still hit people.
Okay, okay. That's definitely something to take into consideration when I'm doing it because I am awful at Conduit.
Yeah, I feel like conduit's a really hard class, and people that are really good at it, like Kamsky or something, like they just slap with it if they could hit every shot, or like Maja and stuff, or like Zen too. Zen's really good at it. It's a bunch of other people.
All right, so what I was saying was with the offhand, what do you personally go for, and what do you feel like are good substitutes with if you can't get that specific gauntlet?
Um, okay, good. My offhand of choice is either wind or pyro. I think those are really good ones. Some people like Majin or Biscuit like running Tox offhand, or people like running Frost offhand. But my favorite personally is Wind because Conduit has a lot of no reg issues up close. So if you're standing like 2 feet away from them, you're not going to hit any of your shots, which isn't good. So I use Wind because you do a lot of damage with focus mana or just in general with your power surge, and you can hit them for a lot of damage up close and at like a medium range. But Pyro, you can hurt yourself and you can do a lot of damage. So if you're good with Pyro, I recommend using Pyro or Tox. Or if you hit your snipes too. And most everything is better than Wind, but people find Wind very annoying. And I just think Wind is the most consistent damage in the game.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I personally never understand the. You might be able to put in your conflict, but I've never understood the when you run conduit, the people that run frost with it, because I feel like having two mid to long range gauntlets puts them at a disadvantage. What is your take on that?
I think the people that do that, it depends on like what they're doing it for. Because people that do it in like comp do it for like damage. And people that can hit snipes, like let's say like Kroza or like Kamsky or T-Fall, they don't really run those classes that often. Well, T-Fall, oh, T-Fall runs Wind. Kamsky runs Conduit. Hopa runs Frost. But I think that they're just doing it for damage. You're doing like 100 damage or like 80 damage, and that's like 3 points. So if you're sitting mid range, you're not really engaging fights. You can hit people with Frost and then Conduit them from a far range. And whatever he's running, whether it's Tox or Pyro, he could rush in and do the damage that ends them. Because usually when I'm playing in comp, it's like me like getting an initial beam on people with Conduit, and then my teammates going in, or them hitting a snipe and then me conduiting them and finishing them off, or it's like vice versa. So usually you're just putting damage and trying to hold and like trying to like yeah put some pressure on people.
Okay, and with that play style, like with that specific loadout, that's like high reward, high risk because
Yeah.
pretty much like if somebody gets in your face, it's almost game over.
Yeah, if someone gets in your face and you're not running Runic Influency or Harmony, you're probably gonna die. So you would probably, if you're running that type of sniper build, you probably would need Runic Influency and run like Shadow Step or Flight or like Dash if you're really good with dashes.
Oh, okay, and that actually perfectly transitions into the next runes. What do you feel like are specifically the top three runes for conduits?
I think Shadow Step, Dash, and I want to say like Flight, maybe. Yeah, probably Flight. So like I use Shadow Step for myself because when I use Wind, I can like Shadow Step to the side or like Power Surge, get another Rune Charge, Shadow Step to the side, and then win them with my Power Surge. So I'm not taking like I could do that like half their health or half their armor, and if they try to answer back, I could just Shadow Step again backwards and then conduit them or something or keep winding them. But a lot of people like if you have really good dash mechanics, you could dash like a bunch and it has a shorter cooldown, especially if you're running Runic Influency. But with like Shadow Step, you have 3 Shadow Steps, basically 4 if you have another charge up after you if you go into the fight pre-charged up.
All right, so with the runes, you're basically like you want to do like the movement based runes to kind of like get keep like a little bit of a distance, and then kind of like you would do a Frostborn, right? Like just do like the movements, try and like keep your distance a little bit.
Yeah, you try to keep your distance. If you're not running wind offhand, you probably try to keep your distance unless you're running like pyro. Because if you're running like pyro offhand, you can get close. But with like if you're running like frost or like wind, then you're gonna have a hard time fighting up close. So you would need to use your movement to like poke, get range. Because if they try to chase you down, you poke, get range, or you keep on moving. And that's the best thing to do. You try to do damage without taking any damage.
Yeah, that's okay. So yeah, it's basically you trying to do as much as you can with as little damage. So that's and I just this was a thought I had whenever I was thinking about it. How do you feel like what is your take on the conduit chronomaster combination?
Um, it's really really strong, and people that do that like they're really annoying, but it's a really good build. Like when you have 4 chronos, you pop a chrono, you go into a fight, you take no damage, you go back. They might even be able to hit you with 1 or 2 or 3 shots unless they snipe you. Then you're able to start your chrono again almost immediately, and then go back and you're able to kill somebody. The only thing is you don't have any movement, so you better be able to outplay people and hit more shots than they can hit you with. Because like if you're sitting there fighting and like I'm coming up into you and fighting you, even if you're able to kill me, there's gonna be someone that comes to third party, and then maybe someone comes to like the fourth party. So you need to be able to hit all your shots and or know when to use it, like not just spam it out. Like oh, I'm just gonna keep using this until like I kill them, which most of the time doesn't work if it's in like a team setting or in like a fully stacked lobby.
Okay, so specifically with the chronomaster build, what you're saying is that when if you're aiming for that build, that positioning is the most important aspect of it, correct?
Yes, yes. I think
All
positioning
right.
is heavily like positioning and movement is the most important thing in this game. I think people complain about aim assist a lot, which I can see where they're coming from, but your positioning and your movement can completely like negate like aim assist. If you're able to play line of sight or you're able to use like crazy movement, like I see people like play like dash or shadow step really well and like tox and they're able to like to outmaneuver you so well, or if they're able like to snipe you and like peek snipe you or jump snipe you, then you're able to die pretty quickly. So I think this game is mostly movement and positioning. But like aiming is like secondary. I feel like because like you can hit your shots, but like if you don't have any movement, like a controller player does, they don't really have that much movement unless you play on like 80 cents. You're not gonna be able to do much. You're just gonna be able to shoot them and not be able to move. But like on keyboard and mouse, if you're able to shoot people really well and have good movement, you're already better than a controller player.
All right, with how important do you feel that the sorcery of conduit is like 1 to 10, one being the like it's not very useful, 10 being it's the most useful. How do you feel that the conduit sorcery ranks on that scale?
If I were to compare them to the other ones too, I feel like it depends on what level you are in the game. If you're at like level 4, where your sorcery strikes down like 4 times or 5 times or whatever, and you're in a small circle, it's probably one of the best runes. But like boulders and the Tox Clouds are way better than the Conduit Lightning Strike. The only thing that it's good for is that you have extra rune charge. So I would put it up there, like probably like a 7 maybe or a 6. But like the Tox Clouds and the boulders, they give you way more damage and like way more movement for like the Tox Cloud and like respectively. And like I don't really like the pyro flame wall, and I don't like the tornado for the wind if you're using it offhand. So like I don't really see any point to it unless you're playing DF or if you're playing wind main hand. So I think that conduit is definitely like in the middle, but like upper middle of the actual like tier of runes. Like because like frost, I don't like that. I don't like their sorcery at all either. But it's really good if people are running harmony, which people aren't doing anymore. So if you know how to use them, it all depends on how good you are at the class. Like Elpidog can like freeze people in the middle of a fight, and I don't see anybody else doing that. Or like Dark Breakers, he can hit boulders with the wind, like he wind shears his boulders that hits people from a mile away and throws a tornado down and suck them into it. Like if you're good at what you're doing, then it's gonna look really good, and you're probably gonna rate it higher than other people. For me, like Conduit is like the best class to me, and it's like really fun. But like I could say like the sorcery is not the best, but if you know how to use it properly, and since people are running harmony, you can shock them, and you can do extra damage for free. Then it's a really good sorcery. So I'd probably put it like a 6 or 7, but not like top tier.
Okay. Yeah, because I definitely was wondering that because early game, just the one lightning strike, it's pretty much like if you miss it, then you just missed out on damage, essentially. But with the zone level ups, how do you like how important for conduits is the zone level ups? Like, is that something you want to focus on, like zone moves, like you need to get that level up, or how do you go about it?
Preferably, I try to get level 2 at least, so I can get my rune charge. But if you can't get into the circle and it's really far away, you could fight without it. Unlike Tox or unlike Pyro, where you actually need that for movement. Stone, the crashing down does help for actual movement and mechanics in the game. And for Tempest, like the tornado is like really important for the updraft. So like I feel like every other class can really fight well before the zone hits. But I feel like Kondo has a lot of damage, so it can live without it. But I preferably like to rush the zones because getting the power surge for the infinite mana for 4 seconds, getting the lightning strikes, and like hitting someone like 2 or 3 of those is fucking amazing. Yeah, I think that's preferably I would like to have more levels, but if you can't rush it, then it doesn't really matter all that much. But most of the time where I drop, I get zones.
Okay, so with conduit, like let's say you're a good 100, 200, like you're a decent distance away, but it's still reasonable to get to, and you get into a fight. Conduits do you think it would be better for conduits to disengage, get the zone level up, or go ahead and finish that fight first?
It depends on if you have runes or not. If you don't have a rune that you're good with or that you can use, you might as well win that fight or try to fight it out. But if the zone is right next to you, I'd probably if it was like a team scenario or a solo scenario, I guess I don't know. It could work for both. I would in a team scenario, I have my teammate hold, and then we switch off, hit the zone, and then switch off and hit the zone. But if the zone is close enough, me and my teammate like Chaos or Skira, we would hit the zone before fighting if we saw people, like no matter what. But if it's like a solo thing and I'm like, oh, I want to see if I can fight this guy before zone, and he hits zone first, it's not going to work out well for me depending on what class he is. So I'd much preferably like to like back off and hit zone and then go back and re-engage because I have more movement.
Okay, okay. So so in your own opinion, how do you feel that how do you feel where Conduit currently stands as a class? And what are your hopes for the future? Like on release, what are your hopes for Conduit in the future?
Um, what do I want in the future? I would like them. They probably will change the sorcery eventually. People don't really like the sorcery, but I don't really mind it. People also think they should change the class, the way it attacks, because it's not really like any other class in the game. It's almost hit scan, which people don't really like. I like the way it shoots. I like the damage. The changes they did to it was really cool. The only thing that I don't like that they changed, which is actually a good balance change, is the wind up. I hate the wind up on that class, but I think the class is overall like one of the most balanced classes. Like Wind needs more like levitation, I think that Pyro they need to take the con flag off so you stop hurting yourself or make it so you can't hurt yourself. One thing I would like them to do is like make it so every class can't hurt themselves if they're using that class. Like if I'm using like lightning, I should be able to stand inside of my lightning strike and like get empowered and do more damage. Like and stand there and fight with somebody with it.
Okay, so that actually would be an interesting mechanic. Let's see if they actually did do that to where part of your sorcery would actually basically overcharge you,
Yeah.
is what you're saying?
It's like get a power surge and overcharge. That would be so cool. Those sound so cool together.
Okay, I definitely feel like that would actually kind of be an interesting addition to like the power surge circle itself.
Yeah.
For the fact that it's like I still feel like it would definitely take some tactical awareness to just like, hey, boom, lightning, because you have to be conscious of like your lightning strike and then everything. So I still think it would take a pretty good amount of learning to do to be able to make that useful.
Yeah, you're not just gonna throw it down and stand in your own ability while someone like DFs you or something. You know, like that doesn't make any sense. You have to actually, I feel like they could just also add another level. A lot of the games end off and like scrims and tournaments, they end off like really, really late, and you have an extra level up for no reason. Like it's kind of weird. So I feel like they can add another level and make that the last level. I don't know, because I think
Okay,
there's
yeah,
only 4 levels. They can make like 5 or something. It'd be cool.
I actually do agree with that one because I've had the more games than not end in like the fifth or sixth circle,
And you're not
and
getting any upgrades for the last 2 of them. Or they should just give more damage at the end or something. Like give an extra upgrade and then give more damage.
like just do like what you're saying is like fifth circle, sixth circle, basically give like a to all of them, give them like a power based passive.
Yeah, like 15% more damage or something, or like more movement speed and like 5% damage. But also give every class another level upgrade for like the 5th circle or something.
I definitely feel like a fifth ability would actually fifth level up would actually be really good because the fifth circle more times than not games will end in that circle or at
Yeah,
least
and
make it
there's
to
like
that
8 or 10 people in that circle or something, and like everyone's like hiding or like trying to fight each other, and they not doing any damage or they don't have any pots. Like I don't know. There should be cool things like that in the game. I feel like there needs to be more pots on the map too. There needs to be like pots that drop out of the boxes or something. I don't know, some shit like that. It'd be really sick
all right
because
and
there's
now
never any of them.
oh yeah and now breaking away from Conduit a little bit, what do you feel such as the pot like big pots and chess, what are your hopes for the future of Spellbreak in general?
I really like the old scrolls back in the day, like 1 or 2 patches ago or whatever. When you drop them and if you're max on them, they don't drop anymore, which is really cool for me. It was a cool strategy. So like, if you didn't need a certain scroll, your teammates can let you pick up those scrolls, and when you open a box, you can max your teammates' scrolls for them. You know what I mean? So like if you're max on Harmony and you're max on Fervor and you don't need Thirsty or whatever because you're running like Escapist or something, every box that you open that gives you a scroll will be Escapist, and then every box that your teammate opens like Epic Trust will be something that you need. So it was like really cool that they have that. Now when I go to a game, I get like 7 Harmony scrolls or something or 7 Thirsty scrolls, and I'm like, oh, I can't use any of these. I would like boxes to drop pots, or when you pick up pots, it'd be a 2 stack. I would also like it if they changed the amount of armor you get per pot, like 25 for smalls or something, or like make it so you can hold 3 smalls and like 3 bigs or something like that. So they put more pots on the map and let people hold more. Because after 1 or 2 fights, you don't have pots anymore, and then there's no pots on the map because both teams know how to reset and they know how to take pots, and then you just have no pots at all. Like no one has pots, and then you're running around the whole game with only armor pot or health pots, if you can even find those too, because some people actually hold those. But those are like the main things with those type of things I would like to see. Some of the
Oh,
maps,
okay.
some of the spots on the map are also not used very often. I think that they should probably rearrange some of the map. Like Hope Send's a good spot, like a good drop up spot, but it's like nowhere near where people actually drop, so no one actually goes there. So just like Banhelm too. Banhelm should be moved closer to where Whitgrave is or something, or some of the empty spots. I don't know. The map could be more tight, and they could probably expand the map and put more spots. I don't know. I feel like the map is like pretty big, but you move really quick, so you can probably expand it a little bit. I don't know. It's a lot of cool stuff they
And
can do.
oh yeah, like this game, that's the best part about this game is that there's endless supplies of upgrades and content that they can put into the game to make it like there's so much room for improvement. So with Spellbreak, what actually drew you into Spellbreak, and when you got into the game, what made you be like, I'm a conduit, like that's good, that's the class for me.
When I first played in pre-alpha, I had like a really shit computer, but I thought that the movement and the way this game played, and I really liked the items back then. They were really confusing, but I liked them. Like there was like a belt or boots that made you invisible if you just like stood still or crouched or something. There was like the behemoth belt or something that gave you like 120 armor or something. Like there was things like that that were really cool. But I was watching a streamer back then. I don't know who he was. He was like Korean or something. He played Conduit. Or no, he played Tempest. And back then you could swap your runes and swap and like hold gauntlets in your pocket like forever. So I he would play like wind and he would like bounce on the floor and then use like frost or whatever. He was like a really good player. So I liked watching him a lot. And it made me like really, really interested in the game. But my computer played like 20 frames, so I only played it for a little bit and I played mouse and keyboard back in the day. And when I first played this game, I like really like magic, so it pulled me in. And I like the movement and the fighting aspect. The combat in this game is nothing like anything else, like unlike anything else that I've ever played. So I think that it's a great game. Also, when they added controller into the game, I started to really like it.
Yeah, I definitely feel like Spellbreak is most definitely one of the most unique battle royales in the aspect that you don't have guns, you don't have melee weapons. It is strictly magic, and everything is magical based
Yeah, that's one
as
of the best things.
well.
They also said
So,
this game isn't going to be mostly battle royale. This is just a game mode. They're going to add like PVE aspects and like MMO aspects, I guess, to the game.
oh yeah, I'm personally excited for the chapters.
Yeah, yeah,
I've
me
been
too. That's
waiting
what I
on
want
them
to
all.
do. I want to do like missions as my character, which is really cool.
Oh yeah, I think that would definitely be very awesome whenever they add chapters and possibly even more than that. That way, if you get obviously pre-alpha, you've been playing battle royale in this game for a year and a half, 2 years almost. But a lot of people are getting tired of the battle royale. I think that doing chapters and such will not only be good for the game itself, but it'll also keep the streamers and everything involved and happy because just brand new content constantly.
Yep. They people don't really like battle royales that much, but this game doesn't really feel like a battle royale. So I think people like will like people are getting tired of it. I played this game like on and off, so I'm not really super tired of it. But like when I first started playing this game again back in like CB1, I played this game for like 12 hours a day, so I could practice for the first tournament I played in, which was the Becker tournament that I placed second in. And then after that, I cut down to like 8 or 6 hours, and now like I haven't really been playing the game all that much. But I hop on it every once in a while, like every other day, and like play some Conduit or play some Frost.
Okay, so yeah, for the most part, how does also another question back to Conduit? How do you feel Conduit right now plays on the competitive level, such as like element tournaments and stuff? How do you feel like it does in a high competitive scene?
I think it does really well. I think Kamsky and like T-Fall placed second and first, I think, on the most recent Arsenal tournament, and Kamsky was playing Conduit. If I was able to play controller Conduit, I think that we would have placed really well also. But I played mouse and keyboard Stellan since aim assist is still banned on tournaments. But I think that
So
it has a good place in the element right now. I feel like people that hit their shots get heavily rewarded for it, and they take down so much of your health, then you can just poke for free and have free points for the conduit damage, just like Frost.
so as a class in whole, you're pretty much the way you feel like Conduit is actually pretty high, and is not only what I've seen high in skill base, but also like power rating, like overall, you feel like it
Yeah,
ranks pretty high among the other gauntlets.
yeah, I think it's the best class. It's like it's mid range. It could be like far range, mid range, and like sometimes like sort of close, but not like stone or wind close. But it could be pretty close range. You have high damage. You have high mobility. It doesn't give you mobility, but it gives you mobility through your runes. And yeah, I think it does. I think it's overall just a really good class, and it's in a really good place right now.
All right, so for the most part, you feel like there's not a whole lot of changes you would make to the class.
Now, there's not. I don't think that will change much to it, honestly. I think that every other class needs to get buffed or changed in some way. But like Conduit, I feel like is like the most balanced class right now.
All right, and just going into our final little segment with Conduit, what do you feel like are just some tips that for, like, let's say Xbox and Nintendo Switch communities just coming into the game, and a lot of the players going to be joining since it will be free to play. What do you feel like are some general beginner tips for Conduit?
Oh man, controller. I think that low sense is really good for shooting people, and you can build your way up. You play like 25 to 30 cents, and then you build your after you get really good at aiming, you can build your way up to like higher sense, like 40 or 45, and that's like, and you just got to play the game. Honestly, it's all like I said before. Like shooting is like the easiest part, but I feel like movement and positioning is the most important, and like decision making. Like when you're holding a controller, your movement, I feel like for like walking around and strafing is really good, but not for crazy dashes or crazy stuff like that. And that's what you need to build your higher sense up to. So I feel like you got to just play the game and play every class. I feel like because like if you learn stone first, you can understand like how like the game is played and all the stuff that is in the game, all the runes they have, and all that other stuff. I feel like learning the general like gist of the game is the most important thing, and then learning how to like play a specific class that you find the most interesting, and actually looking at the pros or looking at the best people in the community that actually know how to play that class specifically, and then like teaching or like learning from them, actually not teaching people. Or you can ask someone to teach you too. That's actually really cool. People come and ask me like what are my settings, or like what should I play, like how should I play it, what rune should I use. People ask me this stuff all the time when I was streaming a lot, and I like to help people too when they're actually playing the class that I really like. So I feel like that's like the only thing you can really do is play the game and just learn from that. The aiming will come if you know how to like shoot in any game. I feel like the shooting isn't hard.
All right, so you heard it here first. Practice, practice, practice.
Yep.
That's pretty the gist of gaming in general, actually. All right, I think that wraps everything up. If y'all please go over to twitch.tv/Gxggabyte. His link will be in the description. Go show him love, follow, subscribe, do everything you do. And it was fun having you, man. It
Yeah,
really was. It was a
it was
great
really nice. I like this. I never did this type of thing before. I think this is like well put together. The questions were good. I feel like it's very informative for people. I can't wait to hear like the other people for the other classes that you get on here. Like this is really cool. I applaud you for this.
I appreciate it, man. We might get you back on in the future. We'll have to see how it goes. But until then, we will see y'all in the HoloLands.